This is absolutely ridiculous. As new reports come out talking about the Rockets trading away Jalen Green, this one may take the cake for being the worst mock trade we have seen to date. We give you the details and why this is a no deal for the Houston Rockets. Welcome into Rockets Digest. I'm Jace Andrews. We appreciate you joining us. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button, or if you have not subscribed already, please do so. It's the best way to help the channel, and it's 100% free. And as we get closer to the draft and free agency, you're going to want to know what's going on with your H-Town team, and we will give you all the details. So let's talk about it. A potential mock trade coming up here as the Rockets moving on from Jalen Green in a fascinating projected offseason trade. Fascinating is one word in my mind. Now, I've already said my dues. I don't like this trade. I don't think it's a good one. But let's talk about Jalen Green here for a second and why he is being mentioned as a potential trade piece for the Houston Rockets. So we have to go into the first things first. Now, there was a massive step forward here for the Houston Rockets, and obviously they were one of the most surprising teams last year in the NBA. Now, I've said this multiple times, but this offseason is very fascinating for a couple of different reasons because now it's time to see GM Rafael work. The problem is he has to make the right decisions between keeping guys, trading guys, who to get in, who to take out, and who to sign in free agency. Now, there is a fine line that he says here in this article saying between winning in the present and in the future. Now, this requires nailing the decisions about which young players to retain and which ones to let walk. And it's been a long conversation about what potential trade pieces the Houston Rockets will have. Alperen Şengün, Amen Thompson, you have Jalen Green. Are they going to keep Fred VanVleet? Are they going to sign him to a deal, trade him away with that team option still intact? There's a lot to kind of digest with this team and really figure out what is the best game plan forward so that we're not talking about this in 2 years saying this was a bad offseason, and we're talking about it as this was the offseason that shaped the Houston Rockets to be a honestly dynasty level team over the next 3, 4, 5 seasons. And it's a hard thing for Rafael to manage, but Jalen Green is a big topic. And here is part of the article from Kim Yolbalan from House of Houston, who says, quote, "One path they can follow is the trade route. Green can be more valuable to a team that doesn't have title aspirations. A team that can give him the ball and have more patience with his development is likely a better fit for Green," end quote. Now, this goes back to his playoff struggles, and obviously throughout the regular season, he averaged about 21 points per game and was doing a lot of fantastic things, in fact, being a pretty good defender as well. But in the playoffs, it was short of excellent, and when I say short, it was down to the ground. It was not a good playoffs. He had one good game, 38 points, where he showed out and showed that he has that potential to be a top scorer, but it just didn't come through in 7 games. He played good in one of them. Can't really be that can't really work in a team that is trying to create a dynasty in the Houston Rockets. Now he's got a $33 million option, a $33 million deal that's kicking in, and is it time to move on from him? That's kind of the big question that we continue to sit here and talk about. So I've made you wait long enough. Let's look at the trade details and kind of dissect this from the inside of it. So we have here the Houston Rockets and the Chicago Bulls making this trade, where the Rockets would receive Coby White and Kevin Huerter, and the Chicago Bulls would, of course, get Jalen Green. And why I don't like this trade is because Jalen Green and Coby White are similar players in my aspect, and in my mind, I think Jalen Green is better than Coby White. Yes, is the money better with Coby White? 100%. But is money the most important thing right now when you know you can get under that first apron by just declining the team option for Fred VanVleet and you still have money to go spend out there in free agency? Or is it more important to make sure you have way under that first apron and go sign some of these free agents that are out here that are big names? It's up for Rafael, but I personally would rather keep Jalen Green around, especially in this deal. Now, there's a lot to kind of talk about, and we go into it here saying, quote, "White is the centerpiece of this trade. The Bulls may choose to part ways with the 25-year-old instead of giving him a long-term contract extension. White is entering the final year of his team-friendly contract, paying him $12.8 million. For the next season, he can shoot, he can make plays, and score in a pinch," end quote. And while I do agree with all that, the key words that I find in that is it is his last year coming up for a team or for his team-friendly deal, $12.8 million. And you're saving about $20 million, give or take some, but at the same time, it's for 1 year. And there's no guarantee that Coby White is going to stick around here next year. There's no guarantee they're going to get him on a deal better than what Jalen Green's deal is on. And while his points should warrant a lesser deal, it still doesn't make sense. And when you come down to it and you just compare the stats, it really just kind of baffles me how this trade was even suggested. Because, don't get me wrong, Coby White is a very good player. And 25 years old, he's still very young. His field goal percentage is there, his three-point percentage is there. He has good points per game, 20.4. His rebounds and assists are about league average for a player of his type. But again, you have him for 1 year on that team-friendly deal. That's great. But his stats are close enough and his play type is close enough that you're not going to pay him too much less than what this guy is making, Jalen Green, who you already have on contract and is younger at 23 years old. He averaged more points per game, had more rebounds per game, a little less assists per game. His field goal percentage and three-point percentage were about neck and neck with Coby White's, in my mind, at least when you fluctuate that throughout the season, especially since Jalen Green going into postseason, having postseason experience. It's just something that I look at and think, I'm not going to go out there and make a move for Coby White in this instance. Why would the Rockets do that? That makes little to no sense to me. Yes, $33 million is something that Rafael Stone has to know about. And yes, Jalen Green has been talked about in trades because of that $33 million. However, he's worth it, and you're not above the first apron if you just decline the team option for Fred VanVleet. In fact, if you decline it, and let's say he signs back for $10 million a year, which I think that's about what he's worth, and if he wants to stay in Houston, I think he should stay on a more team-friendly deal. No offense, Houston gave him the big bucks. It's his time to repay Houston in some ways. Plus, it's a championship-building team, and sometimes, just like in the NFL, when Tom Brady took a pay cut to try and get some better players in New England, when there's certain players in the NBA that take pay cuts to try and make better teams, that is what has to happen for this to become a winning team. And I think that's what Fred VanVleet wants. But getting off topic here, either way, Jalen Green, I think, has the potential to be a superstar and be worth that $33 million, especially since we saw the one game in the postseason where he did go off. And I've been a big thing saying I'm okay with trading Jalen Green. And I am. I'm not going to say that that he is immovable by the Houston Rockets. I think Amen Thompson or Alperen Şengün, I'd have a hard time with saying that they could be traded. I think Jalen Green could be traded. But for this deal, it just makes zero sense to me, especially when you have the fact that Kevin Huerter is in it. And now, here's Kim Yobelin's explanation on Huerter. He says, quote, Huerter can help solve Houston's shooting woes. The veteran shooting guard is a career 37.5% three-point shooter on high volume. He can revive his career with the Rockets after having a down year in Chicago, end quote. And I don't like the wordage there. Revive his career. That's not the time to do this. There's no time for the Rockets to go try and revive a career of some guy. You're in a dynasty level situation here. I mean, to lay it out flat, you have the potential to take what the Thunder did, to take what the Pacers have done, to take what the Celtics have done, or not the Mavericks. Let's not talk about them. They have obviously made some bad decisions, and I don't even want to be associated with that team, to be quite frank. But at the same time, we've seen teams like that who have developed themselves into year in, year out. They're in the conference finals. They're in the playoffs. They're in the finals. They're forcing themselves into the equation for that championship trophy. And so, how do you recreate that here in Houston when you have all the setups to be that? You have the picks, you have the players, you have the assets. How do you make yourself into that winning franchise like those other three? Well, it starts with making deals that don't involve trading for a guy like Kevin Huerter. Now, the Rockets are an interesting situation because they do get one high-level, versatile offensive player with White and another rotational player. So you're getting 2 for 1. And again, I talked about it a lot. The disappointing playoffs is why this question is so huge for Jalen Green and why that the Houston Rockets may not get a better package than this for Jalen Green. At least that's what Cam says in this article. And while I think Jalen Green is worth a better package, that could not be the way the NBA season. That could be totally different to the way NBA GMs, NBA coaches see this. And so in that aspect, how do you go about this with the right mindset of, okay, Jalen Green is optional, but at the same time, he has to be for the right deal. And he didn't really play that well in the playoffs. You expect him to play better. And I don't think that Kevin Huerter, who's been doing this through his entire career, is worth it. Again, I'm not trying to downfall on Huerter. I think he is a decently good player. He had some pretty good years with Atlanta and Sacramento, but it's just not a player that I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to trade Jalen Green for Coby White and this guy, and that's going to be so much better. It's really not. I don't see how this trade works out in a lot of ways. And again, I know there's people who want to trade Jalen Green. I understand that. I'm not in the boat of wanting to trade Jalen Green. I'm in the boat of if there is a good option out there, 100% go take it. I am way more willing to trade Jalen Green than Şengün or Thompson. But it needs to be for the right price, and this is nowhere close to what I want because it's not planning for the future. That's not what it is. In my mind, if you're trading Jalen Green, you're planning for a championship. I'm not going to say guaranteed, but you're planning to be the favorite in the Western Conference, if not the finals in some ways, being the favorite to win this Western Conference, or at least up there with Oklahoma City. Obviously, we have to see what they do in the NBA Finals, if they can take out the Pacers or not. I want you to be up there with them. And if Jalen Green gets traded, and it does not make you that favorite, there is no point to do it. 0 point. And so, the question arises, what should Rafael Stone do? Should he decline the team option of Fred VanVleet? Sign free agents? Should he try and make a trade? It's a lot of questions, and it's a lot of answers that I unfortunately do not have for you right now, but it is becoming more and more clear by the day. And with that, make sure you hit that subscribe button because, like I said, every single day we're getting more and more reports. Every single day we're getting more and more topics and more thoughts coming through the minds of these NBA and insiders. So make sure you hit that subscribe. We'll get you all the reports every single day. Of course, me and Donovan got you covered. So without further ado, though, that is the end of today's show. We appreciate you, and we will say peace out here from H-Town next time on Rock's Digest.